recording. I'm going to stay over here and we can do the problems. I know you don't, but I'm going to try. So here we go. I think we did number 11. Ending. So, for number 12, quiet please. It says, find the minimum sample size required. Minimum sample size required. What letter is that? N. To estimate an unknown population mean. What's our estimator for an unknown population? Mean, sorry. What letter do we use to estimate the population mean? X. X bar. Now, what that means is we are on board either 7.3 or we are on board 7.4 based on the two. Okay? Reading more of the question. How many business students must be randomly selected to estimate the mean monthly earnings of business students at one college? 95% confidence that the sample mean is within 129. What is 129? That's the error of the population mean. The population standard deviation is known to be 595. Is that S or is that sigma? It is. So that's 595. So, since we know the standard deviation, which board are we on then? 7.3 or 7.4? So we are doing 7.3. So, how do you find N in 7.3? We will in a minute. But how do you find N on board 7.3? E equals Z-score, alpha over 2. Standard deviation of the square root of N. Now, this says it is going to be a normal distribution. Here's the picture. Here is 0 for my mean, for my Z-score. So, when I draw this, what is the area on both sides of this going to be? .05 divided by 2, isn't it? Because it's on both tails. So how do I find, let's see, E is pretty easy. That's 129 we said. How do I find the Z-score? First of all, I have to take out your calculator. Take it out. Turn it on. Almost. Not quite yet. Inverse norm. Keep going. That's just a fake. Inverse norm. What numbers are we going to punch in? 1 minus 0.05 divided by 2, and there's our mean and standard deviation if you want to know that. We'll go about 4 decimal places. So Colby, what do we get? What? 9599. Very good. Then we times, what is the standard deviation? 595 all over the square root of N. Dalton, how do you solve for N? What? You can. 129 divided by a 1.9599 equals 595 over the square root of N. Then you can cross multiply and divide, can't you? So that means the square root of N equals 595 times 1.9599 all over 129. As Nate said, now you square that. So once you square that, what do you get for n? 81.7, which we have to always go to the next whole number. 82. All right. 3 points. 1, 2, 3. All right. Ready to go on? Okay. Moving on. All right. 3. Oh, the actual numerical calculation is worth 1 point. All right. Number. Oh no. You'll be surprised how well people do in calculus when I do this. All right. Z, alpha over 2 is 7, 3. T is 7, 4. So we have to figure out which one this is, or is it neither? Neither means it's not normally distributed, and n is less than 30. In this case, it says it's normally distributed. So that means that neither is not a possibility. So Derek, when the standard deviation is unknown, which one is that? 7, 4. So how do we find T alpha over 2? Now, I don't want to do it on the calculator. I'm going to go to the book on page 755, I believe. Unless you have inverse T, which half of you do, half of you don't, on your calculator. You can do either or, but I want to go through page 755 because we're going to need our books for the rest of this test. I think it's 755. All right. No, I'm sorry, it's 754. All right. To do this, what is the degrees of freedom? 9. Next, it says along the top, area in 2 tails. I'm sorry? Right, because I'm going to do this one, normally distributed. Each tail has 0.10 divided by 2. So if I put both of those together, what is the area in my 2 tails going to be? If I add them together. Yeah, it's going to be 0.10. That's the area in 2 tails. So I go down, I go over to where it says 0.10, and I look, and that gives me my T alpha over 2 score. So I go down to 9, over to 0.10, and I get 1.383. Okay? If you have inverse T, can you do it on the calculator?
Wait, why is that 0.20?
I want to use the page instead of the math solver. Math solver got too complicated, but you can try it. Yes? I don't know. I never had that. Degrees of freedom.
What about area? Because on the calculator asks for area and df.
Area would be 0.10 divided by 2.
And then df is just 0.10.
9.
Wait, isn't it supposed to be 1.833, not 1.383? That would be short.
Could be, I'm just reading.
You want it from 0.1, right?
Oh yeah, 1.833.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's just your answer.
On the calculator, it's negative 1.8.
Because you put in the wrong area to the left, you have to put it into the right. Because this number right here is negative 1.833, and we always go by this number. Okay?
So if we don't
On page 754, go down 9.
and over to where it says
This is 1.3.
Yep, 14.684, I already have both of those numbers.
On page 754. 754. We're looking for T. Okay?
Uh,
All right. Yes.
so you have like the T and everything.
You can use that.
But
We do you, Kayla.
that's because. So how is it?
I don't know. He did.
Is that all you
I went to
You
second,
look at test.
you go second, bars, inverse T, and then F for area equals
Oh,
point.
inverse.
That's
Right.
where you use inverse T. There's another thing where you can use
Yep.
inverse T.
Yep. Now, that number, 0.10, came from 1 minus 90%.
What was your area, Eric?
Okay.
Or, oh no, area is 0.10. It's a negative number, it's 1.5.
Huh? Yeah. All right. So we got that one. We're moving on.
Okay.
There's our picture. There's our, if you use the book, you just use the book, and there's our answer. 3 points.
Okay, that's it?
That's it. I'm trying to tell you, it's stats.
No,
You're fighting me.
I'm not fighting you.
Here we go. Number
14.
14. Here we go. Assume the sample, estimated population mean, confidence level, find the margin of error. So, here's my X bar. Here's my confidence interval. Here's my error. They give you X bar. They give you S. So which board is S?
7.4.
7.4. So how can you find your interval? There you go. You can use T interval. So T interval is under, I believe, second or stat and then test, isn't it? Okay.
Oh,
So N,
T.
sorry, X bar is 0.53.
No, we don't.
S, 0.53, they're the same. Interesting. N is 21. Confidence level, 0.95. So what numbers did you get? 0.2 what? 75. Okay. And then what about on the right?
0.77,
Should be
125.
0.77 what?
125.
125. So this is 0.53. So what is my error? 0.241
Oh boy, Joe.
on both sides. Okay?
How did you take, okay, so that one you take the upper bound minus
X bar.
X bar.
Right.
So we-
Can you do? No.
what was that?
The other way of doing it is to use E equals T alpha over 2 S over the square root of N, if you wanted to. For T, you go down 20 degrees of freedom, you slide over 0.05, and you get the T-score of 2.086 times 0.53 divided by the square root of 21. You can do that as well. Punch it out, make sure it's the same. Okay? I said there's the other way you can do it. You can do it the T-score, sample standard deviation, square root of N. Okay?
So would you use the area and one for?
No, area and two tails. That's alpha. Okay? It's the same thing. All right, any questions?
Well, sir.
Fantastic. All right. 13, 14, I gotta go to another page.
15,
15.
20 questions.
Quiet. I don't want Derek on YouTube saying that. Derek Lambert has issues at times with behavior. Anyway. Population has a normal distribution. There we go. We have to construct a confidence interval. So we have to find these numbers. We're doing the population mean. So what's the variable in the middle going to be? It's going to be x bar or p hat? X bar, because that's the mean.
So
When it says proportion or percent. So 14 represents in. Quiet, please. Check yielded a mean balance of 664.14. That's what X bar is, 664.14. Standard deviation of 297.29. Now you have to ask yourself, is that S or is that sigma? Where's that number coming from? The entire bank or from a sample? So that's S. It's coming from a sample. So that means I'm on board 7.4. Okay? So to find my confidence interval, I'll use T interval. Very similar to Z interval. T interval would be X bar, S, and confidence level. N is what? 14. Confidence interval is 0.98. T interval. It is not asking for the error, just bounds. So what's the number on the left? 453.59.
You don't need the error.
And the number on the right is? Okay.
How are you getting that?
Yeah, you're
453.56 and 874.72.
874 point what?
874.72.
Okay. Sounds good to me. And then, what's the other one?
0.56.
Okay. 5, 6.
I was just,
Oh, it does when these aren't there.
wait, like, what?
No, I'm grading it.
Like,
And I'm going to give each one my full attention when I'm grading it.
what's making it a little bit?
Absolutely not. All right, moving on. 15, what? 16. Yep.
This is
Yep, just put your numbers in, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. So, which board is chi-squared? Remember, it's not chi, it's chi. 7, what board? 7.5. So, sample size, confidence level. How do you find chi-squared on the right? Well, here's my distribution. Here is chi-squared on the left. Here is my chi-squared on the right. Remember, the confidence interval, 99%, is split up between both of these tails, 0.01 divided by 2 and 0.01 divided by 2. So this can only be done on page 755. You go down degrees of freedom. You go over, I'm going to have to say this 3 times, area to the right. So there's 2 numbers to the right. To the right of my chi-squared, it's going to be 0.005. That means this is 0.005. However, to the right is .995.
So,
But
So-
we're only looking for the R.
We're only looking for R, so I'm going to go to where it says chi-squared, degrees of freedom, on page 755. I'm going to go down to where it says 24. I'm going to go over to where it says 0.005. End up with 45.559, is that right? All right.
And
So
there's
you're
no other way
always-
to do that.
Huh?
So if we're
No.
using 7.5, we have to use the book.
Right. So what's the number on the left, just for practice? 24 degrees of freedom, 0.995. Right.
so you're always going to the right. There's no numbers on the left.
Nope. You're always going to the right on chi-squared and 7.5. Okay?
That makes it a little bit easier.
Okay? Because- All right, we still have 3 more problems involving this chi-squared table. Don't give up on it now. We got 3 more involving it.
Almost there.
We are almost there together. Unbelievable. It's like a family road trip to Nebraska over the holidays.
That's what they're.
All right. Find the confidence interval for the population standard deviation. Which board are we on? For, yes,
16, so our answers were the left and right, correct?
just the right.
Just the right.
Because the question said R only,
Okay.
but we did the L because we're going to need both of them on this problem.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
this one, we are on board 7.5 because it says standard deviation. How do I find the confidence interval for my standard deviation? How do I find the number over here and the number over here? It's on the board in front of cost. Don't look at your nails, look at the board. There you go, he's almost there. Square root of what? On the board, 7.5, yep, you. N minus 1. It is chi-squared R. The other one is square root of n minus 1 s squared over chi-squared L. That's because when you divide by a bigger number, it's going to be smaller. So square root, what's n in this case? 19. So I'll have 18 times, what's s? 0.16 squared divided by, and how do I find that chi-squared R number? Yep, you go down 18 degrees of freedom, and to the right, 0.05 divided by 2.
0.05 divided by 2.
So 0.025. So I go down that column where it says, was it 18? 31.526. And then right here, square root of 18.16 squared over. Now you find the chi-square on the left. Right, you go down 18. You go over 1 minus 0.05 divided by 2, which is 0.975. So 8.231? 8.231. Now you simply punch it out with big kid parentheses, and do it all at once, and get your answer. So this is 0.16 because that's what S is. Sorry. Just a couple's fine. 3's fine. So let's get for the left one.
120.
0.120.
121.
0.121, okay. And then for the right. Point 0.23. 0.23 what? 6? Okay, good. That's fine. All right, start choosing the book.
And if you somehow get these numbers reversed,
What do you get?
flip them.
Right. All right, any questions on 17?
So they're both of those are into this.
Yes, correct. All right, on to number 18. What letter is the minimum sample size? N. You want to be 95% confident that the sample variance, what board is sample variance? 7.5. Within 30% of the population, there's your error, variance. So how do you find N in 7.5? What's the board say? Page what? Page 376 to find N.
How do you know when to use an equation?
It depends which board you're on.
Are these boards gonna stay up?
I don't know. If I'm in a good mood on Tuesday, they might stay up.
Well, you can't base your good mood on first hour.
Yeah, please don't. That's not fair.
Did you find page?
Yep.
So, is it the variance? Or which column are you using? So is that the one on the left or the one on the right? All right. So I'm using this one. And I go down to what number? 30%. I slide over what? Oh, the answer is just 98?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would you draw?
I'm going to get to that. What page is this?
376.
Okay, on page 376. It scares me when nobody's talking. All right. Sample variance, okay. So this is a normal population. We need to sample 98. Here is 0.30 on both sides. Okay? So that's all you would draw.
That's it.
That's it. That's your error.
That's the answer.
Yep, because they don't give us an actual sample variance, but that's as much as you can draw. Okay? It's a normal distribution still. All right, moving on to number 19.
So we need this page number again.
I'm getting ready to figure it out. All right, use the given degree of confidence in sample data to find a confidence interval. Here we go. For our standard deviation, that means we need numbers right here and right here. How do we find that interval? Which board are we on? 7.5. Costs? How do we find the intervals? You do put those numbers into L1. When you do that, that gives you S. for the equation square root of n minus 1 s squared divided by chi squared right. So that's the way you calculate s.
How do you get those things in there so fast?
Then you do one variable stats.
Then what do you do?
Then you do one bar stats, and you see what the s number stands for. Stat calculated, isn't it?
What do you do with the frequent base? Is that still L2?
Yep. Doesn't matter.
Calculate.
Frequency list is 1.
Don't put anything.
Frequency list is 1.
Stat, cal, one bar stats. Nothing in your frequency list.
Just 1.
One.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Y. So two. I squared it.
Right.
Just yeah.
What is it now? 0.273. So I have n minus 1, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, so I have 7 times 0.273 squared over. And how do you find this number? You go down 7 degrees of freedom. You go over 0.02 divided by 2 on page 755.
Do you have homework club today?
No. Thank you. 18.475 square root 7.273.
Is that 18.47?
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go down 7 degrees of freedom. So so it's 1 minus 0.02 divided by 2, or 0.99. Degrees of freedom are 7. 1.239, is that right? For your left bound for your chi-squared? Okay. Squared. Put parentheses around this. And what do you get when you punch it out? Oh, shoot, my eraser. The left one is 0.127. 0.168. That's fine. So what's the other number? Quiet, please. Focus and do your own calculations. I don't see your button moving on your calculator. What is it? 0.649. And this number right here is 0.27. No, it's not. It's chi-squared. Never mind. Okay. So, there's that one.
You need to know standard deviation.
That's fine. It's not symmetric like that. Okay. Now, one more. Number 20. It says, a paper published results of a poll. It stated that out of a sample of 1,000 married men, 51% said they would marry the same woman again. Is this number a p hat, an x bar, or a sample variance?
That's a quotient.
Which one is it? It is p hat, it's a percent. So, I have 51%. the margin of error is plus or minus 3 percentage points. So, what is my error going to be right here? Well, I'm doing percent, so I'll just leave it at 3.
54.
Yep, 54 and 48. Then it says the confidence level is 0.95. What does this mean? Well, it means that since we have 1,000 married men, since n is bigger than 30, if we surveyed married men, we can say with 95% confidence hey, see, that's why they have spell check. Who needs a spell? We can say with 95% confidence that between 48% and 54% would say they would marry the same woman again. That's what Chapter 8 is all about. Restating with numbers what your findings are, what you found in your survey. So, picture, answer.
That's really not that high percent.
Yeah, I think
That's pretty low.
But you're not interpreting, you're merely reporting. Now, just a minute. Let me end the video. Hopefully it's still running. This is a test for tomorrow.